I don't know about you all, but being a gamer this year has been a little difficult. You've got Sony, for some reason, deciding it's a good idea to kill physical disc production while citing some kind of sketchy numbers depending on where you get them from, unfortunately. Just as well, I would argue that there's a lot of things that keep people from buying physical games. Like recently, Halo Campaign Evolved was launched, which you could only play 5 days early access if you bought a digital copy anyway. There was not even an option for physical, so why would you even look for that? Let alone the fact that, at least in my area, Target didn't even bother stocking it. So, yeah, there's that. On the other side, you have, obviously, Nintendo. They're very litigious. For every good thing they do, they try to balance it out with a terrible lawsuit. Things like going after Palworld for, I guess, having the audacity to innovate, unfortunately, on their Pokemon concept. And, yeah, Microsoft. Oh, God, Microsoft.
F***ing embarrassing!
It's difficult to even talk about this company right now just because they have such a forward-facing CEO right now who is, at least on the surface, if you don't look too deep, she's saying everything that you would want to hear as a gamer, but if you flip over to something like PCGamer's recent article that was published, I think it was yesterday actually, it says, Dev at id Software says Microsoft burned a lot of bridges. They fundamentally don't understand art. They don't understand games. And this comes from Chris Hayes, who is a lead services programmer at id Software. He did an interview with YouTube, Off and Beer. Sorry if I got that wrong. But he doesn't really mince words, as the article states. He says, and this was an interview after Microsoft had announced layoffs one day before Doom the Dark Ages DLC released. He says, and I quote, "Everyone had just gotten off a worse than usual crunch to get the DLC out the door, finally get a breather, and we were excited for our launch on Tuesday, and instead of watching in anticipation for people, streamers, and seeing all the hard work they put in finally pay off, now they don't know what they're doing." Hayes adds, "It was so inhumane, it was demoralizing, and morale has never been lower." I'm assuming this is referring to the cuts, the layoffs that happened the day before the DLC launched. The PC Gamer article is linked in the description below if you'd like to read it yourself as well. There's been plenty of things said internally that mimic the same things we've all seen as public statements by the company, but how that actually results in making games, that's not clear. I don't know where this goes. It is hard to make a game that is AAA, that is like we've done before, with half the people, and by hard, I mean impossible. It's hard to make a game when there are entire departments gutted that you need, entire disciplines that are gone. So if you've got some kind of new plan for how this is going to work that hasn't been told to us, we don't know what that is. That's not very confident coming from somebody who has been in a studio that's been acquired by Microsoft for a little while now, and that, I guess, is kind of telling, right? It seems like every single studio that Microsoft acquires has no direction, or maybe they have too much direction, but no, most of the reports state that they have no direction, and I would think that this has to be the case given something like the fact that Fallout has 2 TV seasons now, and the last Fallout game that came out was in 2015, not counting Fallout 76 because that really isn't the traditional Fallout experience that the fans expect.
What the fuck is this?
So right there, in something as simple as just managing releases, like if you know that you're going to be releasing this TV show, you should have something on tap for the fans. And they had basically nothing. They had an update that literally broke Fallout 4. They had updates to 76, which again, doesn't count for a lot of the Fallout audience. And it's just not even that Starfield existed. It's not even that Todd wanted to go and make something different. It's that when Starfield came out and it was kind of mediocre, instead of everybody saying, hey, this game is just kind of mediocre, that's okay, you know, there's still a lot of people who like it, blah blah blah. Everyone likes mediocre games, myself included. The problem with Starfield was that we looked at this, and we looked at Bethesda, and then we looked back at Microsoft, and we said, this is what we waited for to start any production on the Elder Scrolls, to start any production on any Fallout games. This is what we waited for. I mean, that just simply can't happen. Getting back to the article, as for the statements that we're still the same id, Hayes says, first of all, we're not the same id. We're half the same id. It was the people. What made us special was the people and the relationships that we have. It's not the IP. Our name doesn't matter. It was the relationships we built and the experience that we had together. From this perspective, most of Microsoft's damage control is to avoid people jumping ship. And yeah, no, I would agree completely with Hayes here. There is something that in modern business it's very hard to quantify, right? It's hard to quantify what exactly makes a studio successful. How do you quantify good relationships? That's something that you can't present to a higher up being counter very easily. And unfortunately, when a studio like id sells itself to someone like Microsoft, they are then beholden to the C-suite execs, which are also then beholden to the shareholders. And unfortunately, the more layers that you get between the actual game developers, the customers, the game itself and all that, it just becomes a mess. Back whenever id made Doom originally, obviously they were a small startup with John Carmack, John Romero, all these, what were they, maybe 8 to 10 people strong at the time. That's not how it is anymore, obviously. Obviously, a massive team built what is Doom 2016, then Doom Eternal, then Doom the Dark Ages. But they maintained good people. They maintained the company culture, right? The id that made incredible technological advancements never went away, even though John Carmack and John Romero are no longer there, and one of them hasn't been there for, 2 or 3 decades at this point. And as much as someone like Asha Sharma wants to go to the wider gaming audience and cultivate a lot of goodwill, the problem is that goodwill rings very, very hollow when you turn around and you gut a team like id Software that not only has produced a trilogy of Doom games that is absolutely fantastic, not just critically, but commercially successful. Their engine also runs Indiana Jones. It ran Dishonored. It has been used and is actually a fantastic game engine that, again, Microsoft has done nothing with for some reason. Any goodwill that Asha might garner with all these very, very rosy public statements, it falls flat when you just blanket cut from studios that might not have done anything wrong. You cannot, absolutely cannot, get yourself a good work culture by just laying people off even if they're successful. That just doesn't work. Now, the fortunate part is there are things that we can do about this, but the biggest thing that we have to do as a collective is start to have self-respect, right? Start to understand that a lot of these companies, whether maliciously or whether the intent is there or not, have and are taking advantage of customers. And this gets said time and time again, but really vote with your wallet. And the start of voting with your wallet is having that self-respect, right? Stop letting companies take advantage of you. Take that $50, that $70, whatever, out of your wallet when they may not even deserve it. These days, too, voting with your wallet is not just down to buying the game. If you've been paying any attention, Grand Theft Auto or Take-Two is pulling a rather interesting move with Netflix by having their trailer premiere on the streaming service on August the 27th. It is a timed exclusive trailer, which is kind of insane, and it's also, it's clearly just a sponsored money grab between the two organizations. Hopefully, it does not result in any kind of actual success for them. It does also appear that the trailer did leak ahead of this, so yeah, good luck with that one, guys. All this is to say, just do your due diligence when you do buy a new game, right? It is $70 that you worked for. It's $70 going to support a developer and company that you might like. maybe let's try to spend it wisely nowadays, now that times are a little tougher and developers are unfortunately dropping like flies even if their games are successes. Right now it is easier than ever to support indie developers. There are more friend slop games out there than ever before that you can play, and like I alluded to earlier, I would venture to guess that all of our backlogs are about a mile long right now, guys. So let's try to band together and stick it to these frankly shitty publishers.